I wanted to watch this video about wrestling because full disclosure, when I was a little hardcore, I was a big wrestling fan. Wrestling's about to get really exciting. We're about to go back to the era of when it was like the WWF and WCW because we have this new promotion called AEW, which I'm like super excited about. And so I want to check that out. I watch you might know him here on Twitch, Hassan Abi. I love that fucking guy. I watch his shit all the time. I saw he was covering this shit. And while he's barely saying anything while he's looking at this shit, because he's like a baby with this. He has no idea what the fuck he's looking at. And I'm like, I should fucking watch this and talk about it. Especially there's a part here about the Undertaker. There's a couple of things in here that are interesting. Let me go ahead and get this going, and let's talk about wrestling.
Never ever, I talked about the appeal of SpongeBob. I like SpongeBob, and it's not difficult to explain why I like SpongeBob, because everybody likes SpongeBob. Professional wrestling is a bit of a different story. When I say names like Ric Flair, Randy Savage,
Woo!
Hulk Hogan, and Andre the Giant, most of you can probably picture a vague figure in your heads, but you can't specifically tell who I'm talking about. Why is this? Well, the answer is professional wrestling is one of the most popular and unpopular forms of entertainment on Earth. Trying to justify to people why I enjoy watching professional wrestling is like trying to justify why
I'm loving all the wrestling love I'm seeing in the room. I'm glad you guys are with me on this.
manatees haven't gone extinct. On the surface, it just looks so dumb and awkward and makes you wonder how something like it could even exist, and more importantly, how it continues to exist. Now, I'll admit, the idea of watching half-naked...
Yo, wrestling has been struggling, fucking struggling, ever since like the early 2000s. What happened with those big I think they're going to talk about it between WWF and WCW. WWF basically just bought them the fuck out. They just bought them the fuck out. And ever since they did that and monopolized it, it's just been shitty ever since. It's been shitty ever since. No, I'm glad a lot of people are coming here. I know there was a big match at AEW tonight. So it's been in fucking the shithole. And look, if you don't know about wrestling now, you might want to learn about it because shit is about to pop off. Like, this was everything in the 90s. And I think it is about to become everything right now. I think it is about to go nuts. Like, I think it's going to be just as fucking crazy as it was in the 90s, is what it seems like it's going to be.
Oily buff dudes pretending to beat each other up doesn't exactly sound like the most entertaining thing in the world. But that's kind of what makes it so amazing. Because despite its weird premise and clumsy appearance, professional wrestling fosters the capacity for emotional storytelling that can compel an arena of stoic adults to jump out of their seats and scream like little kids.
Yo, straight up, I've been to live wrestling events. Back when I fucking grew up in Alaska, there is nothing to do in Alaska. So that's a lot of it. Like, that's a fucking excuse though. Like, straight up, this is theater and it's fucking incredible. Absolutely incredible, incredibly entertaining, fascinating stuff.
Sunset flip!
Don't believe me? Well, then you probably haven't watched an episode of Monday Night Raw. But AMP, a lot of you are probably thinking, professional wrestling isn't real. You must be too dumb to realize that. I am smarter than you because I know that professional wrestling is fake. Aw, man.
I think many wrestlers have said it. There is nothing fucking fake about a fucking steel chair. There's nothing fucking fake about a steel chair. The outcome may be predetermined, but the shit that happens is very fucking real. People think the mat is like a trampoline or like super padded. It is not. That is steel and plywood with a thin layer of foam on top, like a thin layer. The shit that happens in that ring, these fucking people get hurt, they get fucked up, and that's like normal wrestling. Not even fucking like, yeah, Mick Foley fucking wrestling, that kind of shit. Like deathmatch wrestling, like that's different. Just normal fucking wrestling, two guys in the fucking side of the ring is painful. It's very real. Yeah, some of this stuff, they try not to kill each other. They're not always just full punching each other in the head, but it's not fake. It's predetermined. It's entertainment. It's like as fake as a TV show, which, you know, people watch plenty of, except, you know, people are actually getting injured on that TV show. It's like reality TV. It's about as real as reality TV, which is also fake, but people also really enjoy. It was really one of the first forms of like reality TV is what we're talking about here. That's all it is.
And you got me. Professional wrestling is not, in fact, a real athletic competition. There's no getting around that. Guess I have to end the video here because pro wrestling isn't real.
It's still real to me, damn it!
But neither is Star Wars, or the Avengers, or Goku.
Oh, did they show Drax already? I was going to cut away when they showed Drax. Yeah, they showed Drax already. Okay, yeah, what I meant to do is cut away for Drax, because I got something. Have you guys ever seen this shit? Have you ever seen this shit? Look at this shit.
Hey everybody, Dave Batista here, Drax the Destroyer.
Look, they got him to show for Marvel Strike Force. Remember this shit? This is 3 years ago. This is 3 years ago. They got him to do this shit.
Today, I'm partnering up with Marvel Strike Force to talk about some true heroes. My favorite part about playing Drax is
he never fucking played Drax. He's reading that shit off a teleprompter. This is like the 5th thing he fucking did that day. It's ridiculous.
a big, scary, imposing person, but at the core of Drax, he's just got the biggest heart. My favorite.
He is looking down and reading all that shit. What the fuck?
Marvel Strike Force team up is Gamora and Spider-Man. Spider-Man has no fear, and Gamora is a badass. My true hero.
Hey, at least Gamora actually is a badass now. So that aged better. The Spider-Man thing, not so much. The Gamora thing did well.
Heroes to team up with are Frankie's friends. In 2017, Frankie's friends helped to save the lives of over 26.
But he just loves puppies. He just loves puppies. A lot of wrestlers are good people, goddammit. Some of them will fucking stab you and steal your car. Others will donate all their money to puppies.
600 pets. Marvel Strike Force will be donating up to $50,000 based on how many people see this video. So please share.
Will they still do that? Why doesn't Marvel Strike Force do that anymore? I would hate them so much less if they did that more often. I didn't know they donated money to puppies. Well, fuck. Now I'm less mad at them. Why don't they donate more money to puppies, you motherfuckers?
Share this. I know this seems like I'm begging and pleading, and it's because I am, and I'm not too proud to beg. Share this video. Marvel Strike Force.
Well, that's sweet. That's sweet, though. But yeah, we can all remember the time when fucking Drax shilled for Marvel Strike Force.
There's no getting around
but for
that.
puppies.
Guess I have to end the video here
Just
because
like puppies.
pro wrestling isn't real.
That was before Scopely. It's true. So fuck Scopely.
It's still real to me, damn it!
But neither is Star Wars, or the Avengers, or Goku, or Homer Simpson, or any character in Super Smash Bros. None of these things are real. However, it doesn't stop people from talking about them far more than they do a lot of real things. And in
I'm telling you, that shit's about to go up through the fucking roof with this AEW thing. So I read that there's WWE, which has been predominant for a long time, and then there's AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Someone correct me if I just fucked that up. But they are a rising organization with more. The problem with WWE, in many people's opinion, is that they don't let the wrestlers have any say in what their characters do. Excellent. They don't give any say to whether the fucking characters do, and a bunch of fucking idiots write the stories, and they just put everything into the shithole, and it sucks. Just fucking sucks. The product sucks is what everyone says, and they're right. I've watched a lot of WWE recently. I got the Peacock network, and just went through and just tried to catch up a bit on what was happening there. And they had a bit of a renaissance where they had like this NXT kind of like minor league situation where they were like cultivating all this talent and then bringing them up to their main roster and then fucking destroying them, making it awful, making them suck, taking everything good that they did and then ruining it over and over and over fucking again. So that's been happening. It's been pissing people off, and people are like, I want good wrestling. I want fucking good wrestling. And so this organization that's coming up is providing that. People are going, wrestling fans are going fucking bonkers over it. And it's going to cause another war like the one that we're talking about in this video. It's going to be very fucking interesting. Just you wait. This shit's going to start trending like fucking crazy. We already have like the major fucking Twitch streamers getting in on this. You're going to see YouTube's already fucking overrun with wrestling. It's ridiculous on there. The WWE is the #1, like most subscribed to channel on all of fucking YouTube. It's fucking ridiculous.
In order to truly appreciate the rhetorical value of pro wrestling, you must treat it as it really is, a work of fiction. But not just any fiction. Pro wrestling is one of the last remaining bastions of theater. Now, like a lot of you, I went to public school, where many of you can probably remember multiple times in English class when you had to learn about this guy called Bill Shakespeare, considered by many scholars to be the greatest playwright of all time. And for so many years, I didn't get the appeal. I don't think anyone else did either. The only types of people in school who actually seemed to care about Shakespeare were the future MIT grad who memorized every piece of trivia ever, or the kid who was way too into theater. I never realized the value of Shakespeare until I discovered the treasure trove of old pro wrestling clips on YouTube.
And after we take Lex Luger and then time, we want the gold sucker Hulk Hogan. We coming for you, nigga.
Okay.
That's the greatest fucking promo, by the way. That clip is fucking epic. You didn't get to, you got to go look that up on fucking YouTube. By the way, what happens immediately after that is fucking hilarious. So Booker immediately realizes what he said. And he's just like face palms, just fucking, oh shit. Sherry behind him is tapping him on the shoulder like, don't worry, man. Mean Gene, who was given the interview, just keeps fucking trucking. Doesn't even fucking bat an eyelash. Fucking hilarious. Just, you gotta watch that clip, and don't just watch it once. Watch it fucking thrice. And watch everybody in the background too. Fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. And yeah, he knew it wasn't the right thing to say. And he just fucking... Pure gold. Pure fucking gold.
Hey, this is epic.
And only then did I realize why people love Shakespeare. Reading Shakespeare in 7th grade English is so boring because the content is not meant to be consumed through words on paper. Shakespearean plays flourished during a time before the majority of people knew how to read. Playwrights and actors had to craft compelling narrative performances using the limited tools they had. If you boil it down, the genre of theater mostly involves a bunch of weird people in stupid costumes prancing around and over-embellishing in iambic pentameter. Theatrical entertainment doesn't come from what's literally happening on stage. The value of theater comes from filling in the blanks using our imagination. This fundamental principle is otherwise known as the suspension of disbelief. It's why when you see this image, your brain doesn't automatically interpret it as some guy called Mark Hamill holding a blue stick. When you see this image, you see Luke Skywalker holding a lightsaber, neither of which are actually real. Suspension of disbelief allows us to accept beyond what's literally happening on screen. It allows us to experience a story and its characters as real, no matter how simple the presentation. This same principle applies to novels, comic books, musical lyrics, cartoons, movies, and yes, professional wrestling. Visual storytelling is an inherently human art form, and people have been performing stories for audiences for thousands of years, dating all the way back to the earliest known auditoriums of ancient Greece, where citizens would gather around and listen to an esteemed orator recite the works of Homer.
I'm so angry I could spit flames out of my butt.
Homer Simpson versus Lisa Simpson.
It should go without saying that the 1990s in America were very different from 6th century BC Greece. 3,000 years ago, people really didn't have that much stuff to drown out the entertainment value of a guy standing on a platform and
Oh, yo, you're going to call out my new favorite show. I've been watching the shit out of Dark Side of Wrestling. That's fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Yeah, that hit Hulu. So I've been watching Dark Side of Wrestling like a motherfucker. Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. We just started talking about wrestling. Yo, you guys seem to be enjoying this. We will come back. We will do this fucking nightly when I come out here. I tell you, I gotta learn about this All Elite Wrestling shit. I don't know any of those fucking people. I just started watching the fucking Omega versus what is it, Osaka matches. Holy shit, that shit's insane. Yeah, I gotta know more because I have no idea what the fuck is going on there, and I'm an explorer. I like to find out, so we're gonna check all that shit out.
and just talking to the audience. The 1990s was the birth of a new era of screens. Television, video games, huge blockbuster movies, even the beginning of the World Wide Web. The new...
I kind of don't. That's the thing. Like I told you, I kind of bailed. I stayed in for like the... I used to flip between WWF and WCW when they first started warring. And then I think I pinpointed it today. I figured out today the point where I dropped off was when David Arquette came to WCW. I was done. It was David. It actually, that killed it for a lot of fucking people. They jumped the shark basically when they had fucking David Arquette end up in WCW. That was it. It was over. Pissed off a lot of people, and a lot of people gave up. That was pretty much where WCW just fucking ate shit and died. There was a lot of other problems, but that was indicative of all those problems.
Millennium was rapidly approaching, and everyone was preparing for the futuristic, technocratic, utopian future of the 2000s by surrounding themselves with the newest, coolest gadgets of the age. You'd expect that all these new entertainment sources wouldn't leave much room for little old theater, and you'd probably be right if it weren't for professional wrestling. From about 1996 to 2001, professional wrestling became one of the most inescapable cornerstones of America.
Telling you, this is going to come back. This shit is going to come back. This is what happened. When WCW and WWF had it out in the fucking street, everybody wanted to watch that shit. It got very entertaining. And that's what's happening right fucking now. With AEW and WWE, shit is about to come fucking back. Yes, I just watched the Dave Arquette episode of Dark Side of the Ring just earlier today. Fucking crazy. I actually watched the David Arquette documentary as well, which is awesome. If you haven't seen the David Arquette documentary, where he gets himself back into shape and actually goes out and wrestles like just like in 2019. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Awesome documentary too.
American entertainment. And in order to understand why, we must first talk about a guy by the name of Vince McMahon.
Some have said that WWE will not be able to fix its problems until Vince fucking dies, which is honestly probably fucking true. They are going to have a hard time competing with AEW with Vince in charge of things.
Vince McMahon started out with nothing. He was trapped in a dirt-poor household with an abusive stepfather. Today he's working...
Yeah, straight up. Also a bigot and racist. Like straight up. Straight fucking up. Vincent McMahon is like fucking awful, and it's a lot of the fucking problem. And that's how that organization was founded. That's how it runs. And, you know, he's like a fucking content gremlin. He's out there. He's trying to cash in on the times. Total fucking douchebag. Total fucking asshole. And that's why AEW is picking up so much steam, because it's run by the actual wrestlers and not fucking, you know, douchebags. So that's very important distinction.
Worth about $3.5 billion, which is a little bit more than Donald Trump. It should be noted that this disparity hasn't prevented the two from being friends.
Oh, best fucking friends. These dudes fucking love each other.
Which is the primary reason why Vince's wife Linda is currently in the executive cabinet of the United States. Perhaps Vince and Donald are such good friends because they have so much in common. The two billionaires were born just 10 months
I mean, he's the fucking devil himself. He's like fucking Satan. He won't fucking die. I mean, that's the other thing. We're saying like, yeah, when he fucking dies, things will get good. He won't fucking die. That's the fucking problem. He's the goddamn devil. He's fucking Lucifer himself.
apart. Both got rich not through a groundbreaking invention, but through ruthless business acumen. Both of them started a rival football league to the NFL that ultimately failed, and both of them built empires by transforming businesses that they inherited from their fathers. In Vince McMahon's case, he reunited with his father, Vince McMahon, Sr., at the age of 12. Vince Sr. owned the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and Vince took a managerial position at the company.
Perhaps the most phenomenal athlete of all time, standing to my right, the one and only Andre the Giant heads up one-on-one.
By the mid-1980s, Vince Sr. had passed away and Vince McMahon was now in charge of a booming wrestling empire. Over the past decade, McMahon had completely overhauled the territorial system of the pro wrestling industry and transformed the
You know, that's what's funny is that you see here how it worked. WWF was birthed out of New York and took over all these other wrestling organizations as it went across the country. What's fucking hilarious about AEW, the event you just saw, is this the one? I know AEW was gearing up to do one of the largest events that has ever been put on, where it was put on at, that rivals no one's ever rivaled the WWF on scale, at least for years, and they just fucking did it, which is just fucking awesome. They're just coming right for them, right in their fucking home territory. WWF, WWE has owned like New York for like a fucking century, and AEW's coming right the fuck at them. They don't give a fuck.
business ventures like WrestleMania brought professional wrestling into the American pay-per-view market and transformed stars.
I mean, you can't discredit the fucking lunatic. He did turn wrestling into what it is. Like, without this fucking power mad devil, we wouldn't have professional wrestling at this scale. I mean, it would take someone fucking nuts to go across the country and just buy like literally every fucking other wrestling promotion and create this juggernaut that it is. So, he did do that, but then he, continues to fucking ruin it and destroy it with bullshit. But did make something to take down, I guess.
Like Hulk Hogan into national icons. The WWF's huge success in the late 80s quickly began to recede in the early 90s, however. This was due to a multitude of reasons, ranging from a waning audience, Hulk Hogan departing for Hollywood, and a massive steroid controversy that almost sent Vince to prison, coupled with other failed experiments such as the World Bodybuilding.
Does anybody even give a shit if these guys take steroids anymore? Is that even a fucking thing? Like, is that even a fucking thing? I know that was such a fucking shocking thing when I was a kid that these guys took steroids. It was like, oh shit, they're taking steroids. Oh my God. But I think that was also because it was still being viewed like people thought of it as a sport. And that was a lot of I think he's going to get into it in this, where they shifted away from being seen as a sport and more into entertainment for tax reasons, but also to get away from regulation. But, man, dude, it's like, I know people don't want steroids like in baseball and shit, but does anybody care if fucking professional wrestlers are all fucking jacked up on steroids anymore? I don't know if that's a fucking thing.
Federation. It's safe to say that by 1993, Vince was in dire need of a new enterprise. It was at this time when Vince decided to transition the WWF into a staple of cable television through the debut of Monday Night Raw. Ever since the popularization of the television in American society, professional wrestling has always had its place on TV, but never to the extent of what Monday Night Raw sought to accomplish. Prior to Raw, the primary role of wrestling on...
Yeah, right. It kind of regulates itself. Like what people know about steroids now, like you don't want to fucking abuse them anyways, because yeah, you're right. It'll absolutely fuck you up. So like you want to do, I think a lot of, I don't know, it seems like I tune into this kind of stuff. Sometimes I'll see people talking about steroids and shit, and it seems like a lot of bodybuilders, fitness coaches or whatnot will talk about it pretty casually. They'll be like, oh yeah, I get on this cycle of steroids. I get on this cycle of like human growth hormone. And it's like a moderation thing that they do. And it's all controlled and it's more accepted now. Because it used to be like, oh, you're taking steroids. You're the fucking monster. You're going to fucking kill someone. It was like crazy. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. No. Kenny fucking Omega. Absolutely. No, we're going to get into Kenny Omega. We'll do that Friday. Come back for Friday. We're going to talk about nothing but Kenny Omega all night because he's the fucking shit. This dude, look, I can do it right now. Even let me give you a little preview of what's coming here. I found this today and I was so fucking excited to see this shit. Kenny Omega has a fucking YouTube channel. Holy shit. You can best believe we're checking this shit out Friday. Come back Friday. We're checking out Kenny's YouTube channel. I cannot fucking wait to talk about Kenny Omega. I fucking love Kenny Omega, man. That's like my new favorite wrestler. I'm fucking like over 40 years old and I have a favorite wrestler again. Holy shit. And it's so fucking crazy because like Kenny Omega was fucking born up in the Great North as well. He's from fucking Canada. He's like the same age as me. And he decided to go get jacked and move to Japan and become the most badass wrestler of all time. I decided to get really pasty and move to New Jersey. So we made some different choices, but I fucking love this guy. And I fucking love that he has a YouTube channel. I cannot wait to check this out. Come back Friday. We will talk about Kenny Omega.
On TV was to stimulate interest for live shows or pay-per-views. Wrestling programming at this time was supplemental, and mostly involved recapping old events or promoting new ones. You would hardly ever see any high-profile or interesting wrestling matches televised during this time, as the intrigue was reserved for more important events.
Oh, those were the dark days, man. See, that's when I used to watch wrestling. Back when nothing happened on TV. Like, nothing fucking happened on TV. Just a bunch of guys fucking talking shit. Maybe they'd have some really fucked up shitty matches that fucking sucked. Jobbers, right? Guys that would come out and just get their ass kicked professionally. Like no matches would happen on TV. And then I would rent the pay-per-views from like the video store. I would rent the pay-per-views like fucking religiously. I watched every single fucking WrestleMania. And that's what it was. All the fucking Royal Rumbles, all that shit. I would just rent the fucking tapes and watch those. Because I lived in fucking Alaska and life sucked. Until this shit happened. And then they started putting shit on TV that was actually fucking good. Shit got crazy. This was nuts.
Monday Night Raw changed all of that by broadcasting new matches.
Yeah, I said it earlier. I've been to, I believe I can clearly remember 2 events that I went to in Alaska. And I think it might have been a third, but I think just 2. I know the first one I went to, I believe the Legion of Doom was there, which was fucking incredible. And then I think for the second one, Hulk Hogan was a part of it. And I fucking hated Hulk Hogan. I didn't like it. But I tell you what, there was something about seeing Hulk Hogan in his fucking element, like in a stadium packed full of like drunk Alaskans, where it worked. It like fucking worked. It never worked for me on TV. It never worked for me at all. I never saw the magic. I didn't get the appeal. But when I saw it fucking live and it's Hulk fucking Hogan and everybody's just losing their fucking shit, especially in Alaska. Like these people are like 10 fucking years behind to this day. To watch these people lose their shit like that, be a part of that, be in that atmosphere with the fucking, hot dog skinned hair of a Chinese man, Hulk Hogan in the middle of the ring doing his thing. Fucking crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy.
And progressing the story every Monday night on the USA Network. Before Raw, pro wrestling was limited in its storytelling capabilities.
I totally should have. I feel so bad. Like, I don't think I would have went to the AEW event tonight because we're still a little wary about COVID. I just don't like being in crowds. But I kind of feel bad I missed it. I kind of wanted to be there. Especially if there's some Gravediggers. Look, we might have to meet up. We're going to have to get a Gravedigger convention going to the next fucking AEW event. We'll see. Catch me up. I wouldn't even know what the fuck I was looking at. So I still need to learn. Like, I've told you, I totally fucking zoned out. But we're going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that.
As most of the time, the audience would only be aware of the narrative and characters through a handful of pay-per-view events each year. Raw greatly expanded the capacity for storytelling in the WWF, as the audience could now tune into new developments.
It might become the Gravedigger fucking tailgate party at the AEW show. That might be where it starts. Then Gravedigger Con next. We'll see.
On a weekly basis. The foundation had been set for one of the most innovative and unique television programs in the world, but it would take an entirely separate force to truly take Raw to the next level. Today, the WWF is now the WWE, and it's the only major wrestling promotion in America. In the 90s, however, there was another. WCW was a wrestling promotion
down in
largely
Georgia
based in the South, and by the 1990s, it was the only major wrestling promotion in America that Vince had failed to conquer. The company was largely helped by the endorsement of media mogul Ted Turner, a longtime wrestling fan who supported WCW by airing its programming on the Turner family of networks. In the early 90s, WCW quickly became a popular...
So that's where AEW is at too. It's repeating itself. It's on fucking TNT. I don't even know where to fucking watch AEW at though. That's a problem. I don't have an actual TV. Do they have a streaming service?
...alternative to the WWF, due in large part to signing some of the WWF's older and more established talent. In 1995, a Turner Network executive by the name of Eric Bischoff decided the time was right to challenge the WWF's throne as the #1 wrestling company in America. On September 4th, 1995, WCW would launch Monday Nitro, their own weekly block of wrestling entertainment on TNT. Nitro would go on to compete head-to-head with Raw, occupying the same primetime time slot. And starting in 1996, Nitro would overtake Raw in television viewership, beginning an 84-week-long streak of WCW dominance. In the midst of Nitro's prolonged period of success over Raw, Vince McMahon knew that his company was now in jeopardy. More and more of the WWF's high-end talent were jumping ship to WCW, leaving Raw stuck with a cast of unpopular and unproven faces. So when faced with such stiff competition, Vince did what any other monarch would do when his empire is threatened: go to war.
You want to go to war? You want a war? You're going to get one.
It has been said that anything can happen here in the World Wrestling Federation, but now more than ever, truer words have never been spoken.
You don't see knives, you don't see guns, you don't see rapes, you don't see anything at all like that.
I think we got Brian Pillman coming up.
It's a very wholesome, family-oriented
shit.
WWF wrestling in the 80s and early 90s was largely a reflection of American culture at the time. It had a deceptively sanitized exterior of traditional family values that was masking a grotesque underbelly of steroids, cocaine, and painkillers. You had the bleached blonde hero Hulk Hogan patriotically leg-dropping America's nefarious foreign adversaries. By the mid-90s...
Yo, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. I got a fucking wake-up call. Because I was young when I went to those events I was talking about, right? To see Hulk Hogan and shit. Like, I was a little dude, like 10 years old, 11 years old. And number one, look, my mother let me in there on my fucking own, so there's a problem. And I'm sitting next to, like, hardcore wrestling fans who knew everything. Like, they knew where these dudes bought their drugs. They knew who they fucking robbed the night before, what their real names were. It was fucking insane. Like, little fucking guy who, like, had heroes and shit and believed the shit on TV about who they were as people, being told who they actually were, which we're all finding out now. There's all these documentaries coming out, how Jake the Snake would fucking smoke crack and fucking stab you and steal your car and shit. Like, fucked up. I'm much happier now that wrestlers' lives are being, or actually seem to be better, and they don't seem, or if they are these people, you kind of know who they are. There was a real weird charade that we were doing. And it's very interesting that all the trouble that Hulk Hogan got himself into, everybody knew. Everybody knew at a certain point that he was actually he was a fucking wrestler. He was like an 80s, 90s wrestler, and that's how they kind of all are. So it was very shocking for society to find this out. And I think that's one of the problems that they had, is when that shit kind of all came out and people they've been telling lies basically with their performances. And that became a problem. Kayfabe went a little too far.
And adversaries. By the mid-90s, a lot of people in America began to see through the facade, which gave rise to a huge movement of counterculture.
Oh, hell, you post an article, man. That's fine. You post it up. AEW's fucking outworking WWE. Fuck yeah, they are.
All of a sudden, you had the American hero Hulk Hogan dying his...
Yeah, real. They finally told the fucking truth. It was about fucking time. This is like the real Hulk Hogan. This is the real thing.
Beard black, smoking cigars, and beating up good guys on WCW.
Sometimes that heel character is more fitting for a wrestler than their babyface persona. Hulk Hogan's one of those guys. This is much better. This is a much better look for this man.
And people loved it. Vince could see the tide of American culture turning, and he knew that if he wanted to save his empire, he was going to have...
The best heel in wrestling there has ever been is right there. The best fucking heel ever. The Vince McMahon heel character is the best one. The most fitting persona for him to wear is that of the most evil in-boss heel ever.
...to get edgy. What transpired was one of the most awe-inspiring 2 years in the history of American television. With Monday Night Raw and...
Oh shit. Oh shit. You offered to take me to a fucking AEW event. I don't know, man. We gotta talk offline about that.
Steve is a dead man walking because when Austin 316 meets Pillman, oh my God, 9mm
Oh, that shit got real. So yeah, Brian Pillman's a whole nother fucking topic. I was just checking that I checked out the Dark Side of the Ring on him too. Holy shit.
Imagine if Seinfeld and Friends were both trying to put each other out of business as members of each cast would
I didn't forget. I'm going to finish this video and then we'll go do the fucking Marvel Strike Force. I didn't forget I'm going to get fucking Adam at 7 stars tonight. I didn't forget that.
Swap back and forth between each show. This is what it must have been like to watch professional wrestling during this era. I could list off a compilation.
See, I'm so fucking excited for this to happen again. This is happening again. I don't know if Vince is going to play ball. I think he will. I don't see it changing. He doesn't change. He's the same guy. So he's going to fucking go toe to toe with them, right? He's going to have to show up. I don't think he's done it yet. Right now he's acting like it isn't happening. He's like, AEW, I don't have to fucking worry about that. Whatever, man. We're going to do our thing. We're the big dogs. I don't know though. He's got ego, man. Is he going to come out for another fight? Everybody wants to see if Vince is gonna fucking come out. He's got balls, man. Is he gonna come out? It's like they're fucking taunting him. They're taunting him in his home fucking town. Is he gonna come out? You gonna come out, Vince?
Of all the outrageous and incredible events that were transpiring between these companies on a weekly basis. But to truly help you grasp
I love it. Everybody in chat here is talking about it too, because we don't know what the fuck is going on. Right? Nobody knows. People from the WWE are coming over to AEW. We haven't seen it go the other way yet, but that's what was going on, man. Between WWF and WCW, these guys were going back and forth, and you didn't know what the fuck was going on. You tuned in every night because you just wanted to see where the fuck everybody went. It's like, where the fuck is Hulk Hogan tonight? He went between WWF and he went to WCW. I think he came back, and then he was back and forth. It was like, what the fuck is happening? Anybody could show up anywhere. It was crazy. Fucking Vince McMahon finally at the very end shows up on WCW once he buys them. Mind-blowing shit. Fucking crazy. It's like nuts. It's nuts. As if it would be like if Seinfeld and Friends were like fighting it out for ratings and the cast members kept showing up on each other's shows and shit. It'd be nuts. Absolutely unparalleled entertainment. Totally insane.
Absolute madness of this time. I only need to show you one moment from one episode of Monday Night Raw. But before you can truly know the significance of this moment, I've got some explaining to do. First and foremost, every good story needs a good protagonist. So let's talk about Mick Foley.
Oh, shit.
When you picture a professional wrestler in your head, you probably don't picture a guy like Mick Foley.
I kind of do. I kind of do, though. Straight up, I don't know. I know most people probably don't, but I kind of do. Like that is a big part of it, man. Fucking just crazy motherfucker. Crazy motherfucker absolutely is a thing.
Foley. Mick Foley's pear-shaped physique hardly resembles the tall, chiseled muscle men that are common in the WWF. Mick Foley doesn't have the freakish size, Herculean strength, or Olympic athleticism to draw an audience. The reason wrestling fans watch Mick Foley is to watch him get hurt. By all measures, Mick Foley is simply not talented enough to earn a share of the pro wrestling spotlight. To compensate for this,
he's differently talented. He's differently talented. Let's not say not talented. He's differently talented.
He sacrifices his own body through some of the most death-defying stunts the WWF has ever seen.
Mick Foley fucking paved the way for Mick Foley. Holy shit.
Perhaps Mick Foley's most iconic moment came...
Yeah, here he gets stuck in the fucking ropes, and to get himself out, he has to lose some of his ear. This fucking dude's insane.
In 1998 during the second ever Hell in a Cell match. In this match, Mick Foley is wrestling as Mankind, just one of his 3 different wrestling personas.
Oh yeah, you don't know. Everybody hates the fucking Bushwhackers. You stepped into that, dude. The Bushwhackers are some of the most hated fucking wrestlers ever. Apparently they didn't know what the fuck they were doing and they just hurt people. That's different.
Mankind is supposed to be this disfigured, gremlin-like guy who lives in the boiler room beneath the arena. He finishes off his opponents by suffocating them.
Nobody likes an unsafe worker. Nobody likes that. In fact, just recently, Nina Jax got into a lot of fucking heat. Because what I think the first thing she did really was she punched Becky Lynch in the face, right? Like for reals. And just fucked Becky Lynch all up. Which actually really boosted her. That like got a lot of fucking heat on her. But yeah, nobody likes an unsafe worker. An unsafe worker is like the worst thing you can do. This is a person that doesn't know how to control themselves in the ring, doesn't know how to perform the moves properly, and just randomly fucking hurts people as they work. Punches people for real, slams them in a way that would actually break their fucking neck or spine or whatever. Nobody likes this kind of individual. Nobody wants to work with them.
With a dirty sock. And he's completely insane. In this match, Mankind is fighting The Undertaker. The Undertaker is one of the most legendary and...
All right, here's the part I wanted to talk about where I was watching the Hassan cover this, and he was like, I don't understand The Undertaker. Guys, I don't understand The Undertaker. I'm like, what the fuck is there to understand about The Undertaker? The Undertaker is fucking amazing. From fucking day one. I was there as a wrestling fan from day one with The Undertaker. And I can tell you what the deal is with The Undertaker. All the other gimmicks they were doing at the time, right? They had the fucking Hamburglar and the fucking Taxman and the fucking Mountie. It was the time of the gimmick, right? And they had the fucking Undertaker, right? The Undertaker was different because he was actually an undead juggernaut. He was, we were talking about at the start of this video, suspension of disbelief. I needed almost no fucking suspension of disbelief to believe that this man had supernatural powers and was dead. I needed almost no fucking disbelief. I needed to like trick myself a lot to believe that this guy was like a Canadian Mountie and that was scary, or that the fucking Taxman was to be feared. That took a lot out of me. This was fucking easy. This guy is so fucking good at being the Undertaker that I don't even know his real name. I've been watching him for like 30 fucking years. I don't know his real fucking name. I think Mark Halloway. It just came to me. Okay. It's not easy. I knew him as only the Undertaker up until like a few days ago. Yeah, there you go. Only a few days ago did I find out his real name because he was so committed to this character and being this way. He protected this character more than anybody did anything. He was always the Undertaker. It wasn't a goofy gimmick. It was like a legit gimmick that he believed in. And it evolved over time. And I think he kind of jumped his own shark when he went into the biker thing. I lost interest when he did that. But then he brought it right the fuck back. And this dead man gimmick is nuts. And he's an amazing physical specimen as well. Like, he is insane in the ring. The things that he does, other people don't do. And it was interesting and intriguing and fucking mythical. A mythical legend is what this man is. So that's the Undertaker. He is just doing it better than anyone else has like ever fucking done. I know a lot of people like the biker thing. I didn't care for it. It's the undead thing. I know he probably got bored of the undead thing. He came right back to it. He knows what pays the fucking bills. Walking up on the top rope, totally ridiculous, but the way he did it with such fucking grace, and this dude's fucking huge. He's like fucking like 9 feet tall. I don't know. He's the biggest dude on the planet, and he just fucking walks up on the fucking top rope like a fucking cat. Ridiculous.
Recognizable wrestlers of all time.
People have tried since, and they don't quite capture it. People have done a good job. What, Bray Wyatt? Great job. Very creepy individual, doing a good thing. Not quite the Undertaker. Very hard. What, Kane did great until he took the mask off. Then not so much. No one's really the Undertaker. The Undertaker is one of a fucking kind. It didn't matter. Something about it just fucking clicked. Just very fucking special and maybe hard to understand unless you were there. Because it was so fucking different. Like, there was a lot of goofy gimmicks going on. This shit was next fucking level. It was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, yeah, I know this is like stupid. This guy's got an urn over here and he's all fucking, oh, you're going to have to face the, all crazy shit was happening. But then there was this fucking guy and it was real. It was just fucking real. That's all I can say. It was as real as fucking wrestling ever fucking got.
It's difficult to get wrestling fans to agree on anything, but even the most jaded...
You see, I don't even want to. I know that's out there. I know he's finally lifted back the curtain. He's talked about his whole life story. He's become a person. I just kind of want to stay there. I just kind of want to leave that Undertaker persona where it's at, because that's the most fucking... I want to believe in Santa Claus still, okay? I want to believe in the Undertaker. Some kids believed in Santa Claus way too long. I still believe in the Undertaker. I just believe that that's real.
Ones will act giddy upon hearing the sound of the Undertaker's iconic dong.
Oh my God! What? The dead man has risen!
The popularity of the Undertaker is difficult to describe for anyone who's not a fan of professional wrestling, and I'm not going to try to explain it now.
It was real. It was fucking real. That's it's easy as that. And maybe it's difficult to understand truly. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. But look, in a fake thing, in a rigged setup where you all, as a wrestling fan, I think you always are trying to like look for the trick. Like, oh, they've got I watch it like maybe some people watch a magic show, right? Where you're like, oh, where's the trap door? Oh, where's the mirrors? You know, you're thinking like, ooh, is that ladder actually made out of wood or is it made out of metal? Oh, they painted that. Oh, there's the crash pad. You know, a lot of people watch it with that skeptical eye. That was definitely me. When you looked at the Undertaker, you're like, oh, that's a fucking like undead juggernaut zombie motherfucker who can't be fucking killed. That's what that is. This guy doesn't actually feel any fucking pain. He has no outward signs of pain. No matter what the fuck is done to him, he just doesn't seem to get fucking hurt. Like, I don't know. That's just real. That's real. Whatever the fuck is going on here is probably fake, but that shit's apparently real. That's what that is.
Now, but maybe Justin Wang from the YouTube channel Wang can, since, you know, he kind of looks like The Undertaker.
The Undertaker is hands down the greatest character in the history of WWE. He debuts at a time when Vince is going crazy, throwing all kinds of different gimmicks against the wall. Literally shares his first pay-per-view appearance with a guy in a giant turkey costume. But unlike the garbage man,
Wang's great, by the way. If you've ever checked out Wang's content, definitely check him out. He's awesome. He's on YouTube.
who for some reason also wrestles, or the plumber, who for some reason also wrestles, the undead zombie, who for some reason also wrestles, had way more staying power. The Undertaker very quickly becomes a fan.
I had no idea. I had no idea that Undertaker had a broken neck for 13 months. No one would know. No one would know. This man was impervious to harm. His character was impervious to harm, so the Undertaker was impervious to harm. He believed in his character so much that you broke his fucking neck and he still walked around. It's ridiculous. Absolutely fucking absurd.
And favorite and maintains that status for almost 30 years. He continually reinvents himself over the course of those 30 years and eventually becomes the unbeatable final boss of WrestleMania. Except for that time he got beaten. But it's actually kind of a good thing that he got beaten, because to pigeonhole him as the WrestleMania guy minimizes everything else that he's accomplished in his career.
Thanks, Justin. I'm not going to get too much into The Undertaker right now because he doesn't really play a role in the Raw moment I'm discussing. But he was involved in Mick Foley's most recognizable moment ever, by throwing Mankind off the top of the cell in front of thousands of stunned spectators.
Holy shit. I did not see this when it happened. This is something I had to rediscover later. See, I was out by this point. I was not back. I was not back in. So yeah, this shit I had to rediscover, and this shit's crazy. I missed the whole Mick Foley run. I would have to go back and watch all that shit. I missed all that shit. I probably jumped out a little too fucking early because this was like classic shit.
Mick Foley's 280-pound body plummeted from
I could only imagine seeing this live on pay-per-view when it fucking happened. That's insane. Because, I mean, your skeptical brain would be going all off, right? You'd be trying to figure out what the fuck you were looking at. Is this fake? Was there a crash pad? No, it's all 100% real. It's just 100% real. He actually dies. Like, he doesn't actually die, but he should have. Holy shit.
Two-story building and splashed down on the announcer table below. No one had ever seen anything like it. The following shots of Mick Foley show medical personnel surrounding him and lifting his limp body onto a...
Yeah, you'd be trying to figure it out. Is this fake? Is it a work or is it a shoot? Is it a worker? What the fuck am I looking at? Is this man dead?
Stretcher. At this point, any fan watching would have walked away completely...
They literally killed a man in the ring and went on with the show. They literally killed a man in the ring and went on with the show. That happened. There was no way to tell. There was no way to tell what the fuck was happening when you watch this shit live.
Satisfied with the effort that Mick had already put into this one stunt. About 5 minutes later, this happened.
Hell in a cell match. Are you kidding me? He wants to go back up. Mankind is going back up. No way. If he throws him up on the other side, there's...
So after The Undertaker did this, he went down there. Now, they kept up the mat. Like, he just fucking killed Mick Foley. He's not dead. Once again, but good as dead. He came down there. And I think the only thing he said to Mick Foley was, go home. This motherfucker, like I'm telling you, The Undertaker's some real shit. That's all he fucking said to Mick Foley was go home. Which meant we're wrapping the fight up and it's over and we go home. No, that cage was not supposed to break.
Mick Foley can be seen, somehow still conscious, sitting up in the ring corner with his tooth in his nostril. He then wrestled The Undertaker for about 10 more minutes, where he eventually got choke-slammed onto a pile of thumbtacks.
Which was common for him. That was not abnormal for him. That's actually an easy thing for him to do. Not even fucking around. That was just like breathing for this man.
The Undertaker won this match, but Mick Foley, through his superhuman resilience to pain, had won the hearts of the WWF fans. Naturally, this match instantly cemented Mick Foley as a legend in the pro wrestling universe, and as a fan favorite. And even though he won the admiration of the audience, He never quite seemed like a guy who was supposed to win a lot of matches. And most importantly, never did anyone truly believe that Mick Foley could become the WWF champion. So what's the point of watching big, strong dudes throw each other off the tops of buildings? Well, the goal of both fictional wrestling and legitimate athletic competitions is to find out who is the best in the world. So you have a bunch of wrestlers fight each other, and some of them win more than others. And only then do the winningest wrestlers have an opportunity
to the top.
fight for the WWF Championship. Becoming the champion is not just the ultimate goal for the characters in the storyline. It is also the ultimate sign of validation for a wrestler's real-life career. The fundamental foundation of every wrestling narrative is watching guys fight to become the champion. Lower tiers of wrestlers will each fight for their own version of a championship, but no title is more coveted and more prestigious than the WWF Heavyweight Championship. Historically,
and this is where shit will get fucked up too, because there's a right time for these things to happen, and when the people running the show can't fucking tell when it's the right time for a champion to be made, that's when shit gets fucked up. Like, you'd wonder, like, oh, you know, what's going on? Why isn't wrestling good? What do you mean it's written poorly? Like, isn't it all stupid? I'm like, yeah, it's all kind of stupid, but the problem comes is when someone can't read the fucking room, when they don't know what time it is and what they should do and what an outcome is that would make the person watching happy, what would be satisfying, what would be a good story. That's when there's a fucking problem. And that's why everybody's getting so fucking excited about AEW, because they kind of get the impression that they might not see their favorite wrestlers just get fucked, like, you know, weekly or monthly or whenever the fuck they decide to screw everything up.
WWF title has been reserved for only the biggest, most popular attraction in the company. When you become the WWF champion, you become the face of the company. Usually, the championship only changes hands once, maybe twice a year. So whenever it happens, it's a pretty big deal. And on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw, Mankind found himself with an opportunity to win the WWF championship. This is the essence of his hero's journey. But every hero needs a good villain. And the villain of this story just so happens to be the guy Mick Foley is facing for the championship. A man who many of you already know.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Today, The Rock...
See, that's what's interesting, man. Some people don't even know the fucking Rock was a fucking wrestler. Like, it's crazy. They don't know Batista's a wrestler. They don't know fucking Rock is a wrestler. They don't know any of this shit. It's nuts how it's become like ancient fucking history that they don't know. By the way, everyone kind of thinks that at some point WWE is just going to have to bring the fucking Rock back to wrestle. They've done it a few times. But if they do that, no, I haven't done it yet. We're gonna go back to Marvel. Look, we're gonna finish watching this up, and then we're gonna go fuck around with Marvel Strike Force a little bit before I go to bed.
Rock is one of the most recognized Hollywood actors on the planet, although many people would agree that he makes a much better celebrity than an actor. Most of The Rock's repertoire today involves acting in high-profile but ultimately forgettable action flicks, and Moana. The Rock's widespread fame today may raise the question of how he got popular in the first place. You see, 20 years ago, The Rock burst onto the pop culture scene as a wrestling god. To this day, no one wrestler has ever been able to hold the audience in the palm of his hand quite like The Rock could. But it wasn't always like that. In fact, when The Rock first debuted in the...
It's like all they could do. It's like all the WWE could do right now to get people to watch it. Because, like, I'm telling you, wrestling fans, you see it in this fucking room, are just so sold on AEW. They are so fucking done with the WWE and their bullshit. About the only thing WWE could do is bring The Rock back so that people, like casual people, would give a fuck. Everybody would tune in to see what the fuck is going on. Literally, the entire world will watch anything the fucking Rock is in. Literally anything. He can be in fucking anything and they will see it. So bringing him back would be about the only fucking thing. They don't need to have him on TV every week. They just need to have the thought in your head that he will be there. And if people have that thought, then they will fucking show up. Even though the promotion's like dog shit at this point. They will still show up just to see if the fucking Rock turns up on that promise. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm telling you, it's going to be a fascinating time. Literally anything could fucking happen.
WWF, he was hated. The Rock didn't start off as the wisecracking, smack-talking, one-liner dropping legend that many of you know.
The shit's moving faster than I can even fucking tell. Today, my fucking buddy here, Phoenix, fucking tells me, he fucking tells me that they might get Charlotte. If you don't know who Charlotte is, it's Ric Flair's daughter, Charlotte Flair. The rumor is that AEW is going to try to snap up Charlotte. That's fucking nuts. That's fucking crazy. Charlotte has been working in the WWE as like one of their top fucking stars. Whenever they need a fucking pop, they bring out fucking Charlotte. And they're going to fucking lose that to AEW potentially. That's going to be nuts. Everybody, that, like, if you're into, like, women's wrestling's gotten way fucking better. That's what kind of got me back into this, by the way, is I had heard that the one thing that WWE was doing correctly was that they finally had women wrestlers who were actually wrestlers and not like underwear models, which is what happened back in the 90s with the Attitude Era and shit, which I was not a fan of at all. I was there for the wrestling, not the fucking softcore. So when they started, when I heard that they had that, which they do, they actually do have some really impressive women wrestlers. They don't know how to treat them. They still book them like shit, but they're there. My kids love Asuka. They fucking love Asuka. They got interested in it. We started watching some Bayley matches. But as soon as they fucking saw Asuka, that shit was done. They are fucking fans. Get out. And it's fucking tragic right now. They just fucking bury Asuka in the roster. She doesn't even get to fucking wrestle anymore. So seeing AEW, that would be huge for my family to see fucking Asuka get snapped up by AEW. Charlotte, I would think, would be the first step to that. And very interesting in itself. She's fucking incredible.
Know him as today. He was a bland, dopey-looking Samoan called Rocky Maivia, who would stand in the middle of the ring and smile like a goober. This was a character that may have worked 10 years prior, but not during the era of edgy 90s counterculture. WWF fans hated Rocky with a passion, and they would shower him with relentless boos while...
I like Sasha Banks. I think she's okay. And just the way they handle it, it's the way they're handling the whole roster that's the problem. When they push too fucking hard on any one wrestler, which WWE always does, they like take a wrestler and they just try to shove it down your throat. It just becomes too much. They've always done it. Like, that's why, like, Hulk Hogan, even though is an amazing fucking presence, when it was just shoved down your fucking throat over and over again, it's like, no matter how fucking good they are, or whatever they have going for them, when you're being told you like this wrestler, you must like this. This is the face of you like them. They're the champ. You're just like, no, fucking fuck off. Stop it. That's poor booking. That's what makes you. The booking should support like the natural feeling of the crowd and kind of give everybody a chance to shine. Because everybody's got like their favorite wrestler. Everybody's got. You might like everybody might agree on a few of them. But everybody's got their certain flavor that they enjoy. Absolutely, 100%. And if that wrestler isn't being represented in some way on like a normal basis, whoever your favorite was, you're just going to get pissed off. It'd be like if you were really like a huge fan of the fucking Giants or whatever, and night after night, the Giants didn't get to fucking play. They just didn't get to fucking do anything. They didn't get to show up. They got to sit on the bench in the back of the room. You would get so fucking resentful and fucking angry no matter what that team is. Let's say at the fucking Bulls or whatever sport you're into. You just never got to see them come and play the sport again. That's how it is with wrestling. To be like a hardcore fan of a wrestler who's just getting buried is like the worst feeling as a fucking fan as you could possibly have.
While chanting, "Die, Rocky, die." Eventually, it became clear that the only way for Rocky Maivia to stop getting pushed around by the crowd was to push back. And on one fateful day, The Rock was born.
I got 3 words. Die, Rocky, die.
That's the gratitude I get from you pieces of crap.
Over the next
Yes.
2 years, The Rock would transform into one of the most smarmy villains in the company, becoming such a good heel that, ironically, the audience had no choice.
See, that's one of the reasons why you watch wrestling too. It's one of the reasons why motherfuckers watch me, is you don't know what the fuck is gonna happen sometimes. You don't know what the fuck they're gonna say, because the shit isn't always scripted. So when shit isn't always scripted, you don't know what's gonna happen. These are live televised events. So that day the Rock got bored, we don't know what happened. Was he told in the back room to say what he wanted to say? Did he just fucking lose his fucking mind on the microphone and on live television? Say it. Once you say it, once it's out there, if it works, then you're good. If it bombs, then it's probably the end of your career. So you can see anyone make like a bold move like this at any time and try to raise their stock live on fucking TV. Totally interesting stuff. Fascinating to watch happen as it occurs.
But to love him. In 1998, The Rock would align himself with Vince McMahon and the corporation to cheat to win the WWF Championship.
All right, there you have it. So he was going to quit, and they told him to do his own thing and just try it first. Just, all right, he's going to fucking give it up. And they're like, well, just go out there and say whatever the fuck you want to say, man. Go for it. Happens a lot. Happens a fucking lot. There's a lot of stories like that where they're like, this isn't working. Hey, this is your last night. You know what? You want to say this thing? Or something's brewing backstage that's just like going to spill over in some way. And they're just like, all right, go out and just fucking do it. Just fucking do it and see what happens. If it blows up in your face, then it's your last night. If it fucking goes over with the fans, you're a superstar. Who the fuck knows?
Commencing his new reign as the corporate champion. In order to become the champion, mankind would have to go through not just The Rock, but the squad of goons in Vince McMahon's corporate stable. The deck seemed stacked against him. At least it was until he got a little help from Triple H. Triple H may be one of the most interesting wrestlers of all time. Not for what he's done inside of the ring, but for what he's done outside of it.
You got documentaries on the documentary on A&E. I need a documentary on AEW. I don't know if those exist yet. I got to do my research on that. I need to know more about that. It's such a fucking crazy thing that's happening.
Triple H started off as just another no-name wrestler in the mid-90s. He is now one of the top executives in the WWE. His real-life rise to power within the company is most likely due to his marriage with Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter and heir to the WWE throne. I would go more into Triple H, but this video by screenwriter Max Landis explains his career better than I ever could. All you need to know for our story is that Triple H is the leader of a faction called D-Generation X. If you happen to be working at the Standards and Practices Department for the USA Network from 1997 to 2000, the mere mention of the letters DX will probably give you a PTSD flashback. Seemingly every week, DX would invent new ways to joke about their penises. They spent every moment on screen basically acting as raunchy as possible.
See, unfortunately, this is when I tuned out. Right here. I just couldn't. I was like, nah, it's not my wrestlers. These aren't my guys. They buried my guys. My guys are gone. I think my guy was The Undertaker at the time. I like, everybody liked The Ultimate Warrior. That wasn't like a hot take. And everybody likes the Undertaker now. And everybody liked him then. But I was like, no, The Undertaker's really, really the shit. And I don't think he was was he doing the biker thing at this time, or was he just not on TV very much? I don't know. Whatever was going on. I know a lot of people love the Attitude Era. I just wasn't having it. Wasn't my thing. Maybe I could go back and revisit it. I don't know. But I know it was big. Early 2000s. Yeah, that's really just when I was out. Super dark. You see, I don't think he was on TV enough. Not that I could remember. I mean, maybe there was a lot of reasons why, but I don't know.
They also popularized the crotch chop 10 years before Waluigi did it. One time, the members...
Maybe it was too far. I think it was too... I remember now. Thank you for pointing this out. It was that. Okay, I stopped believing. I could not believe that Undertaker was leading a satanic cult and was actually going to sacrifice people, that was too far. My suspension of disbelief, yeah, driving around fucking tanks and shit. Look, like my suspension of disbelief, it was too far for me. I needed a little more grounded in reality than that. That's like just a little too far out.
Of DX rode a literal tank to the front door of WCW Nitro.
Yeah, they actually started killing people. And they actually started storyline killing people. It was just too much. It was too fucking much. People not actually dying, which is also too much, but when you're fucking murdering people as part of storylines, when Vince fucking McMahon blew up in a car, it's like, oh my God, this is too nuts. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, maybe now watching it with like new eyes would be fascinating, but I don't think this stuff aged well either. It was just really out there kind of TV, and maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time, but it was definitely polarizing.
Just to stick it to their competition. But if there's one thing Triple H and DX hated more than WCW, it's authority. Hey, wait a minute. Anyway, whenever McMahon's ruthless corporation would attack a defenseless...
Yo, I'm so excited right now that my room is huge wrestling fans. I'm seeing so much fucking wrestling lore pop up in here. I'm so excited. Yo, loving it. Let's come back Friday. I cannot wait to watch Kenny Omega shit with you guys.
This wrestler, DX would seemingly always be there to level the playing field. And that's exactly what happened in Mankind's championship match versus The Rock. We enter a scene of utter chaos, as the audience anxiously waits on pins and needles, anticipating if Mankind can do the unthinkable and win the WWF title. And that's when they hear the all-too-familiar sound. At this moment, the roof of the arena is about to become unhinged, from the surprise return of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin may be the most popular wrestler of all time, even more so than Hulk Hogan. But he, like many other wrestlers I've talked about here, came from humble beginnings. Stunning Steve Austin was just an average and forgettable wrestler for WCW in the mid-90s. In 1995, WCW unceremoniously fired Austin while he was out of action with an injury. But if things couldn't get bad enough for Steve, this was also the time when he went completely bald. And when a man has lost his hair, he has nothing left to lose. Steve Austin would join the WWF with a vengeance. He cultivated the anger from his WCW firing and adopted it into a stone cold new persona. Stone Cold Steve...
Alright, yo. If The Undertaker was real, the Stone Cold Steve Austin character was extremely real as well. This man was actually pissed off like all the fucking time, and it was evident in his performance. It did blur the fucking line heavily. I was not a fan of Stone Cold. I was not on that train. I know I am in the minority on that. But one thing I do admire about it is this shit was 100% real. Like where this was coming from, this fucking attitude of his, 100% real. Absolutely. You can't even fake that shit. He was really pissed.
Steve Austin became a pissed off redneck from Texas who would beat up everyone and everything. He was the...
Oh, that's fucked up what's happening right here. He is beating up an actual cripple who is like his best friend. Fucking legit. So he's beating the shit out of Brian Pillman, who has a fucking like severed foot. This dude's foot is like mangled beyond belief. And he is beating the shit out of him on TV so that he can kayfabe, he can pretend that his foot is injured. And so he doesn't have to wrestle as much. So Stone Cold is doing Brian Pillman a favor by beating the shit out of him and stomping on his crippled foot on live television. What the actual fuck is happening? It's insane. You can't, I mean, you gotta love this shit. I mean, I think that was the problem with the Attitude Era for me, is I didn't know enough of the behind the scenes stories. I wasn't educated enough to know how fucking insane and amazing this actually is. If I knew that, I think I would have been paying more attention, because this is actually fucking crazy. And yes, to this day, it is called filmanizing, to beat someone up, to then give them a reason to have the injury that they have outside of the ring because he got injured in a fucking car wreck, like outside of the ring, right? A car wreck. So they decided to make it storyline that he was injured. And the way to do that is to kick his ass live on TV. They put like a metal steel chair on his foot and then stomped on the chair on the foot. You know, there's a way to do that where you don't actually destroy his foot, but it can't feel good.
Consummate anti-hero, constantly interrupting matches to beat people up for literally no reason. These antics made him popular for sure, but he would only attain legendary stardom through his feud with Vince McMahon.
I think that's the shit that everybody loved. I mean, I couldn't even deny the magnetism of this. You would definitely tune in to see this. If you caught, and this was like every fucking show. Awesome.
Those of you
I've seen the Supermarket Brawl with Stone Cold and Booker T. I've caught up on a lot of this shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Familiar with wrestling may have been confused earlier in this video when I mentioned that The Rock teamed up with Vince McMahon.
I believe you. No, I've done a lot of that. I've known a lot of the backstories and then gone back and watched some of the older matches. It's nuts. It's nuts knowing what the fuck is going on. Like just watching that beatdown, that's fucking, like what we just saw is fucking crazy.
Why is the owner of the WWF recruiting a stable of bad guys to beat up other wrestlers in his company? Well, unlike most billionaire CEOs, Vince McMahon is deeply passionate about the product he's selling. And he is willing to put his own ass in the ring and get beat up by his own employees as long as it's good for business. Even past the ripe old age of 70, Vince is still occasionally willing to step in the ring and take a top rope frog splash from a 266-pound fat guy. Back in the 90s, when the WWF
athletically large. He's called athletically large.
Was in serious danger of going under, Vince took it upon himself to do whatever was necessary to save his company, going so far as to abandon his casual role as a commentator and quickly transform himself into the most despicable villain in all of wrestling.
Oh, they got to show the walk, right? I love the fuck. Everybody loves the fucking walk. The fucking Vince McMahon walk. Oh my fucking God.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? So I was sitting in my cubicle today and I realized ever since I started working, every single day of my life has been worse than the day before it. So that means that every single day that you see me, that's on the worst day of my life.
The 90s ushered in a period of sterile corporatization for the American worker. This was a time when most Americans had fallen out of faith with the government, but still somewhat trusted their corporate overlords. A time before companies like Enron and the big banks royally
yeah, right. Some characters just work better.
Screwed up and put the world economy on a downward spiral.
Some people are just better
a time
heels.
Before the internet transformed the paradigm of what was thought possible for earning a paycheck. Most Americans entering the workforce at this time were left with one option. You would spend all your daylight hours, Monday through Friday, working in a cubicle under oppressive fluorescent lighting. And you were expected to do this week in and week out for 40 years.
Now you get to do it from home. So it's basically the same, but now you get to do it from home, which I guess is better. It's the same thing, but now you do it from home.
Naturally, a lot of workers weren't exactly thrilled with this reality. Vince McMahon must have known this because starting in 1998, he transformed himself into the living embodiment of everything Americans hated about their corporate world. And for every ounce of hatred projected on Vince, Americans found an equal amount of catharsis in watching Stone Cold Steve Austin repeatedly beat the piss out of him on national TV. The Austin-McMahon feud escalated throughout the entire year, and it catapulted Austin into mainstream stardom. Steve Austin did on a weekly basis what every layperson in America wishes they could have done to their bosses, teachers, or any other oppressive authority figure that separated them from what they wanted. He represents something universal about the human spirit, the desire to fight back against those who control you, the constant dream of capturing your own slice of agency. Stone Cold Steve Austin is a man who cannot be controlled, because the second you try, he'll blow up your bus, fill your car with cement, and spray you with beer from a fire hose. And most importantly, he'll give the people what they want.
All right, you see, the filling the car with the cement shit, that was the kind of shit that turned me off. Because I'm like, I don't think they're actually filling anybody's actual car with cement. So that's where like the skeptical thing, that's where those are the jumping the shark moments where the Attitude Era just kind of lost me. I know a lot of this shit is classic though, and I did miss out. So that's why I don't want to miss out this time. Like I think AEW and the WWE, the shit is going to get nuts, and I kind of want to see it happen. I don't think so, because I'm still enjoying this shit. I don't think I grew up at all. I don't think that was the case. No, it wasn't growing up. I refuse to grow up. I will never fucking grow up. This is all still very fascinating. Maybe I was lying to myself. Maybe it's the same lie that people tell themselves when they get like their chicken nuggets with the bone in. Maybe it's when you have the choice to order like chicken wings or like chicken tendies, and you go with the fucking wings because you don't want to just admit that you want your food to be better. You just don't, you want to live a fucking lie and pretend like having some inedible shit in your chicken is a better situation than just having a delicious tendy. Maybe it's that kind of situation where I just wasn't being honest with myself. It's very possible.
Many wrestling historians like to point to this moment as the loudest crowd reaction.
Well, I didn't have two daughters at the time. But no, I mean, it was rough to watch the Attitude Era if you if you weren't kind of misogynist. You had to be a bit, especially, you had to try hard to enjoy that show as like not a misogynist. Like it would be rough because it was pretty fucking misogynist. And to watch it now is easier because things are better. And so you can watch it as like a historian. But I think at the time, a lot of people were doing like selective watching. Some people were just full on watching for that. Like, the Attitude Era was straight up taking a dial of bigotry and just dialing it up and being like, do you guys like this? Would you like more? More? And I get it. And it was fun to see how far they could push the fucking envelope. And that was very entertaining. But I just didn't want him to turn it up that fucking far. It was like too far. Like WCW was better for me. It wasn't as far up there. It wasn't quite as nuts as what they fucking won. The WWF won. I mean, this bought them out. But I felt like the WCW was a better product. I felt there was better wrestling going on. I felt there was better talent over there. And so, yeah, when WCW started taking a shit on their storylines and stopped bringing the wrestling as much as they were trying to compete with the madness that was the WWF, I think that escalation was like, oh, no, I don't want to watch this happen. I think now I would want to watch it happen. Now I would be more interested. I don't think I was adult enough. I don't think growing up, I wasn't grown up enough to handle what was happening. I was still the kid that wanted to like believe in the Undertaker and shit like Santa Claus. And I didn't want to see it degrade into this fucking shit show that it became. I wanted to see this kind of pretend, kind of real kind of situation happen. And it was getting way too fucking real. I mean, yeah, people were getting beat down in the ring with actual injuries. People were almost being killed like nightly. I mean, that's some adult shit. And I wasn't ready for that. And I don't think I was grown up enough.
Action in WWE history. I guess ultimately that's the whole point of all of this. To give people a window into a different world. A world where you could truly believe the unbelievable. A world where valiant heroes could overcome seemingly impossible odds. And where despicable villains would always be brought to justice.
I don't know about WCW. I will say this, though, about WCW. I mean, there was a lot of young talent in there, a lot of people doing great things. But I'll tell you one thing that changed over time with me is when I was young, and you were supposed to, but I did not like Ric Flair. But I didn't just like not like him. I didn't want to see him wrestle. And I think that's different because you're supposed to not like the heel. But with Ric Flair, I did not want to see him wrestle. Now I will watch a Ric Flair match any day of the fucking week, any hour of the fucking day, because I know that man's a fucking genius. And I did not understand that at the time. There was so much I didn't understand. And it's a lot of that behind the scenes shit. Like when you see someone get their ass kicked in wrestling, what you have to understand, or what it helps to understand, is that they are allowing themselves to have their ass kicked. And if the person kicking their ass looks really fucking good, that means the person having their ass kicked is really good at making them look like they can kick their ass. And that's why Ric Flair is fucking incredible. Because everybody who ever fought Ric Flair looks fucking amazing, no matter how little talent they might have. Ric Flair makes them look like they are fucking gods among men, because Ric Flair is willing to destroy himself every time he steps into the ring and just get his ass beat. He kicks his own ass. Ric Flair kicks his own ass, and that's fascinating to watch now and realize, oh shit, Ric Flair is kicking his own ass. This man next to him is doing nothing, and Ric Flair is just beating the shit out of Ric Flair for 30 fucking minutes normally. For 30 fucking minutes, Ric Flair will just beat the shit out of Ric Flair for you, and you will hate him. And it's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I did not understand that when I was a young fan watching wrestling, or even as like a 20-year-old watching wrestling. I had no idea that he was just beating the shit out of himself every fucking night like that. I didn't understand how wrestling worked to that degree. A lot of people don't. So it's easy to be like, oh, this guy's really good over here doing all these slams and shit, and not realize that guy getting his ass kicked is actually the talented one. Because he's not dead.
Eventually, you just had to keep watching to see it happen, and many Americans did, even if it was just for 2 hours a week on a Monday night. Wrestling historians also like to point to this event as the moment where WWF surpassed WCW once and for all as the premier wrestling company in America. Over on TNT, the Nitro commentators intentionally spoiled the ending of that night's Raw ahead of time. This decision backfired spectacularly, as 600,000 Nitro viewers immediately changed the channel to Raw to witness one of the greatest moments.
Oh, way to not read the fucking room. Oh my God. They gave the biggest advertisement. Like, Mick Foley wins a championship? It's like they didn't understand that we all know it was fixed. And that's what we wanted to happen. And we just want to watch it happen. They don't understand. They didn't understand this basic component. Some people still don't understand. When people tell you shit like, oh no, spoilers. Oh, I can't watch that. I don't want this spoiled for me. You don't understand that the way the human brain works, we enjoy it more when we know the outcome. And when we know the outcome is what we want to see. We absolutely enjoy it more psychologically in your brains. Knowing that was going to happen made it better. It wasn't a spoiler. That shit was a teaser.
In professional wrestling history. Conversely, those who kept watching Nitro that night got to witness one of the most anticlimactic and
It's just chemically true. It's just chemically true. There are papers on it. You just enjoy it better. That's why you like pop music. That's why motherfuckers like pop music. Because it plays out in a predictable fashion. If you know what's going to happen, your brain likes it. Your brain does not like surprises. Your brain fucking hates surprises. You might believe that you enjoy surprises, and you might have conditioned yourself to enjoy surprises. But your brain chemically, your lizard brain, enjoys knowing what the fuck is going to happen. It just likes it more. It just will make you feel better.
Frustrating moments in wrestling history. As the despicable villain Hollywood Hogan reclaimed the WCW championship after his so-called opponent Kevin Nash literally laid down and gave it to him. 2 years later, WCW would go out of business, and Vince would finally achieve his goal of conquering the last major American wrestling promotion by acquiring WCW for pennies on the dollar.
Game over.
Right after the WCW commentators spoiled the end of Raw that night, Tony Schiavone infamously mocked the idea of Mankind winning the WWF title by sarcastically commenting,
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Technically, he was correct in his snide assessment, because no one was sitting down in the Centrum Center as the referee counted to 3 on Mankind's first ever championship victory. Monday Night Raw is still on the air today. WWE and wrestling as a whole have largely diminished in popularity since this time. It's a decline brought about not from what's different.
Yep. So it's in the shithole right now. But I'm telling you, shit might pop off. I mean, shit's already popping off for AEW. because that's already got the show. So now we got to see what the response is.
Different in the ring, but rather how the world has changed around it. And for this reason, WWE may never again be able to replicate a moment of this spectacle. But
If you got a fucking villain, who knows?
Nothing else on TV really could either. The pure hype of the crowd surrounding the ring that night is something truly unique about professional wrestling. There's a visceral, palpitating feeling of...
I mean, this shit comes up and down. I believe in it. I think there's cycles for this shit. We could see it happen again.
Unbridled...
Especially after COVID. I'm telling you. Especially after COVID and live entertainment dying, people might be really into coming out to this shit again. I know wrestling fans are. Normal humans might really enjoy getting involved in this shit again. We'll see.
Excitement that permeates through whatever screen you're watching it on, even 20 years later. The cascading wave of emotion on display here is, quite simply, raw. And you'd be hard-pressed to replicate something like this with any other TV show. Not bad for something that's not even real. This is the end of just another episode of Monday Night Raw.
And this is the end of this video, my reaction to this. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm Mr. Hartgrave. Grave Diggers, let me know if you're one of them. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep digging.